Most people go through life believing that they are victims of circumstance, that they must accept whatever life hands them, that they are powerless to change their conditions. They pray to a God outside of themselves. They hope for luck. They wait for opportunities. And they wonder why their lives remain the same year after year. But I tell you tonight, you are not a victim. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of external forces. You are the operant power of your world, and the universe must respond to you when you learn to speak its language. The secret I am about to reveal to you is this: your imagination is God. Not a God among many gods, but the only God there is. Your wonderful human imagination is the creative power of the universe itself, individualized as you. When you imagine, you are not engaging in idle fantasy. You are literally creating your future. You are commanding the universe to rearrange itself according to your imaginal act. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is the absolute truth of existence. But you must understand what imagination truly is. It is not mere visualization or daydreaming. True imagination is the ability to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is the capacity to enter into a state of consciousness where you experience your desire as already accomplished. When you can do this completely, when you can live in that assumption with such conviction that it feels more real than your present circumstances, then you have spoken the creative word, and the universe must respond. Now let me explain to you how this works. Everything that exists in your world, everything you can see and touch and experience, first existed as an imaginal act in consciousness. Your present circumstances, your relationships, your health, your wealth or lack thereof, your life, your home, everything in your experience was first imagined before it became fact. But here is what most people do not understand. You are constantly imagining. Every moment of every day, you are creating through your imagination. The question is not whether you are using your imagination, but whether you are using it consciously and deliberately to create what you want, or unconsciously to perpetuate what you do not want. Most people use their imagination against themselves. They imagine the worst possible outcomes. They replay past hurts and disappointments. They project their current limitations into the future. They imagine conversations where they are rejected, situations where they fail, circumstances where they are powerless. And because imagination is the creative power, these negative imaginings become their reality. They create through their imagination exactly what they do not want. And then they wonder why their lives are filled with struggle and disappointment. But you can reverse this process. You can begin to use your imagination deliberately and consciously to create the life you truly desire. You do this by learning to control your inner conversations, by disciplining your mind to dwell only on what you want to experience, by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, until that assumption becomes natural to you. Let me give you a practical example. Suppose you desire greater financial abundance. Most people, when they think about money, immediately feel the lack of it. They imagine all the bills they cannot pay, all the things they cannot afford, all the reasons why they will never have enough. This feeling of lack, this assumption of poverty, becomes their creative state. And the universe responds by giving them more experiences of lack and limitation. But if you understand the secret I am sharing with you tonight, you will do something entirely different. You will dare to assume that you already have the financial abundance you desire. You will imagine how it would feel to have more than enough money for all your needs and desires. You will live in that assumption. You will think from that state rather than about that state. You will imagine conversations where people congratulate you on your success. You will feel the satisfaction of being able to give generously to others. You will assume the mental attitude of someone who has abundant resources. At first, your rational mind will rebel against this assumption. It will tell you that you are being foolish, that you are denying reality, that you are engaging in wishful thinking. But you must persist. You must continue to live in your assumption, despite the evidence of your senses, despite the protests of reason that appear at the opinions of others. For imagination is more real than fact, and your assumption, persisted in, will become your reality. This is the great secret that has been hidden in plain sight throughout the ages. It has been taught in the mystical traditions of every culture, encoded in the sacred texts of every religion. yet it has been misunderstood and misinterpreted by those who could not accept its radical implications. For if you truly understood that your imagination is God, that you are the curator of your own experience, that you have the power to change your life simply by changing your assumptions, then you would no longer be dependent on external authorities. You would no longer need priests or teachers or gurus to intercede for you. You would know yourself as the operant power of your world. But understanding this intellectually is not enough. You must prove it to yourself through experience. You must test this principle in the laboratory of your own life. Choose something you desire, something specific and definite. Not something vague like happiness or success, but something concrete that you can clearly imagine having or being or experiencing. Then assume that you already have it. Live in that assumption. Think from it rather than about it. Persist in this assumption regardless of what your senses tell you, regardless of what others say, regardless of how impossible it may seem. And here is what will happen. The universe will begin to rearrange itself to match your assumption. Opportunities will appear that were not there before. People will come into your life who can help you. Circumstances will align in ways that seem miraculous but are actually the natural result of your imaginal act. What you have assumed in imagination will gradually externalize itself in your world of experience. But you must be willing to live in the end. This is perhaps the most difficult part for most people to understand and accept. They want to imagine the process, the how, the steps between their current state and their desired state. But the creative power works from the end backwards. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live in the satisfaction of already having what you desire. And then the universe work out the details of how it will come to pass. This requires a complete reversal of the way most people think. They believe that first they must work hard, struggle, overcome obstacles, and then maybe, if they are lucky, they will achieve their goals. But I tell you that this is backwards. First, you must assume the feeling of already having achieved your goal. And then the work, the opportunities, the circumstances will appear to make it so. You do not create through effort and struggle. You create through assumption and feeling. Now let me address a concern that may be arising in your mind. You may be thinking, but surely I cannot simply imagine whatever I want and expect it to happen. There must be limits. There must be laws that govern what is possible and what is not. And you are right that there are laws, but they are not the laws you think they are. The only law that governs manifestation is the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, if you persist in that assumption, will become your reality. There are no other limits except those you accept in your own mind. You see, what you call the physical world is not as solid and fixed as it appears. It is actually a world of symbols, a reflection of consciousness, a mirror of your inner states. When you change your inner state, when you change your assumptions, the outer world must change to conform to your new inner reality. This is not magic, this is not supernatural, this is the natural operation of consciousness itself. But you must be careful what you assume. For assumption is creative, whether it is positive or negative, whether it serves you or limits you. If you assume that you are unlucky, that you are always struggling, that good things happen to other people but not to you, then these assumptions will create experiences that confirm them. If you assume that you are blessed, that opportunities come easily to you, that you live a charmed life, then these assumptions will create experiences that confirm them instead. Most people are unconscious of their assumptions. They have inherited them from their family, their culture, their past experiences, and they accept them as truth without question. They assume that they are limited by their education, their background, their age, their circumstances, and these assumptions become the invisible walls of their prison. But when you become conscious of your assumptions, when you realize that you can choose what to assume, then you become free. You become the architect of your own experience. This is why I say that you must be born again, not in some religious sense, but in the sense of assuming a new identity, a new set of beliefs about yourself and your capabilities. You must die to your old self-concept and be resurrected as the person you truly want to be. This death and resurrection happens in imagination. You imagine yourself as already being the person you want to become, and you persist in this assumption until it becomes natural to you. Let me give you another example. Suppose you see yourself as shy and socially awkward. This self-concept creates experiences that confirm it. You avoid social situations, you feel nervous when meeting new people. You assume that others will not like you and your behavior reflects these assumptions. But if you understand the secret I am sharing with you, you will begin to assume a new identity. You will imagine yourself as confident and charismatic. You will feel how it would feel to be at ease in social situations. You will assume that people are drawn to you, that you have interesting things to say, that you are welcomed wherever you go. At first, this new assumption will feel unnatural, even false. Your old self-concept will resist it. But if you persist, if you continue to live in this new assumption, something wonderful will happen. Your behavior will gradually change to match your assumption. You will find yourself speaking up more, taking social risks, engaging with others in ways you never did before. And because you are acting from a different assumption, people will respond to you differently. Your new self-concept will create new experiences that confirm it. This is the great secret of transformation. You do not become confident by acting confident. You act confident by assuming that you are already confident. You do not become successful by working hard to achieve success. You work from the assumption that you are already successful. And the work becomes the natural expression of that success rather than the struggle to attain it. But remember, assumption is not a mental exercise, it is a feeling. You must feel yourself to be what you want to be. You must assume the emotional state of having your desire fulfilled. This is why I say you must live in the end. You must capture the feeling you would have if your desire were already a reality. And you must live in that feeling until it becomes your natural state. And here is something else you must understand. There is no one to change but self. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out. Every person in your life, every situation you encounter, every condition you experience is a reflection of your own consciousness. When you change yourself, when you change your assumptions, the world around you must change to reflect your new inner state. This means that you are not trying to change other people or external circumstances. You are not trying to manipulate or control anything outside of yourself. You are simply changing your own consciousness, your own assumptions, your own inner state. And the external world changes automatically to match it. This is the most liberating truth you can ever learn. Or it means that you are never at the mercy of external conditions. You are always the operant power, always the one in control. But with this power comes responsibility. If you are the creator of your experience, then you must take full responsibility for everything that happens in your life. You cannot blame others, you cannot blame circumstances, you cannot blame luck or fate or God. Whatever you are experiencing is the result of your own consciousness, your own assumptions, your own imaginings. This may be difficult to accept at first, especially if you are experiencing difficult or unpleasant conditions. But accepting this responsibility is also the key to your freedom. For if you created your current experience, then you have the power to create a different experience. Now, you may be wondering how to apply this knowledge practically. How do you actually change your assumptions? How do you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled? How do you make this abstract principle work in your concrete daily life? The answer is through the practice of controlled imagination. Every night before you fall asleep, when your mind is naturally relaxed and receptive, you imagine a scene that would naturally follow from the fulfillment of your desire. You do not imagine yourself getting what you want. You imagine yourself already having it. You construct a short scene, a brief dramatic moment that implies the fulfillment of wish. And you replay this scene over and over in your imagination until it feels real to you. For example, if you desire a promotion at work, you do not imagine yourself asking for the promotion or working hard to earn it. Instead, you imagine a scene where you are already in your new position. Perhaps you imagine a colleague congratulating you on your promotion, or you imagine yourself sitting in your new office, or you imagine your family celebrating your success. You choose one simple scene, and you make it vivid and real in your imagination. The key is to feel the reality of the scene. You must experience it as if it were actually happening. You must hear the congratulations, feel the handshake, see the expressions on people's faces, smell the flowers on your new desk. You must involve all your senses and emotions in making the scene as real as possible. And most importantly, you must feel the satisfaction, the joy, the sense of fulfillment that would naturally accompany the realization of your desire. You repeat this imaginal act night after night until it becomes natural to you, until you no longer have to force yourself to believe it, until it feels as real as any memory of something that has already happened. When you reach this point, when your assumption becomes natural and automatic, then you have impressed your subconscious mind with your desire, and it will work to bring it to pass in your external world. But during the day, you must also be vigilant about your thoughts and feelings. You must catch yourself when you slip back into your old assumptions. When you find yourself thinking thoughts that contradict your desire, when you feel emotions that deny your wish fulfilled, you must gently but firmly redirect your attention to your new assumption. You must think from your desired state rather than about it. This is not always easy. Your rational mind will present you with evidence that contradicts your assumption. Your senses will show you circumstances that seem to prove that your desire is not fulfilled. Other people may tell you that you are being unrealistic or delusional. When you find yourself thinking thoughts that contradict your desire, when you feel emotions that deny your wish fulfilled, you must gently but firmly redirect your attention to your new assumption. You must think from your desired state rather than about it. This is not always easy. Your rational mind will present you with evidence that contradicts your assumption. Your senses will show you circumstances that seem to prove that your desire is not fulfilled. Other people may tell you that you are being unrealistic or delusional, but you must remain faithful to your assumption. You must persist in your imaginal act regardless of what appears to be true in the outer world. Remember, imagination creates reality, not the other way around. What you see in the external world is the result of past imagining. What you imagine now is creating your future reality. So do not let present circumstances discourage you or make you doubt your assumption. Know that as you persist in your new assumption, the external world must gradually conform to it. And here is something wonderful. As you continue to live in your assumption, you will find that it becomes easier and more natural. What once required effort and concentration will become automatic. You will find yourself naturally thinking and feeling from your desired state. You will discover that you have truly become the person you imagined yourself to be. This transformation is not just mental or emotional. It is a complete reorganization of your entire being. Your body language will change. Your speech patterns will change. Your habits and preferences will change. You will literally become a different person. One who naturally attracts and experiences the conditions you have assumed to be true. But remember, this is a process, not an event. Do not expect overnight transformation. Be patient with yourself as you learn to master this new way of being. Some assumptions will manifest quickly. Others may take more time. The key is persistence. Never give up on your assumption. Never accept defeat. Continue to live in the end regardless of how long it takes for the external world to catch up with your inner reality. And do not make the mistake of constantly checking for results. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You plant it, and then you let it grow naturally. In the same way, once you have planted your desire in consciousness through repeated imaginal acts, you must let it grow. Trust the process. Know that your assumption is working even when you cannot see evidence of it in the outer world. There will be times when you doubt, times when you wonder if this is all just wishful thinking, times when the evidence of your senses seems to contradict your assumption. This is natural and to be expected. But these moments of doubt are tests of your faith. They are opportunities to strengthen your conviction. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Simply return to your imaginal act. Feel once again the reality of your wish fulfilled. Remind yourself that imagination is the only reality, and that your assumption persisted in must manifest in your world. You see, what I am teaching you is not positive thinking or the power of belief. Those are weak substitutes for the real thing. What I am teaching you is the creative power of assumption. When you truly assume something to be true, you do not need to believe it because you know it. You do not need to be positive about it because you are certain of it. You do not need to affirm it because you live it. This certainty, this knowing, this living from your assumption is what makes the universe respond. It is not your hoping or wishing or wanting that creates. It is your assuming, your accepting, your taking for granted that creates. When you can assume your desire to be already fulfilled with the same naturalness that you assume your name to be what it is, then you have mastered the secret of creation. And once you master this secret with one desire, you can apply it to any area of your life. You can assume perfect health and experience healing. You can assume loving relationships and attract wonderful people into your life. You can assume professional success and find opportunities opening up before you. You can assume financial abundance and discover sources of income you never imagined. There are no limits to what you can create through the power of assumption, except the limits you accept in your own mind. But with this great power comes great responsibility. Use it wisely. Use it for good. Remember that as you create your own reality, you are also contributing to the collective reality of humanity. What you assume for yourself affects not only your own life, but the lives of everyone around you. So assume the best not only for yourself, but for others as well. Live in the assumption that the world is becoming a better place, that humanity is evolving toward greater love and understanding, that peace and prosperity are possible for all.